back on the 486 machine in Linux. Woke up yesterday morning, turned it on, and it just sat there at the wait light, or the wait stage, where it normally would detect the hard drive and didn't do anything, didn't boot. Like, fine, what now? Typical old computer crap, right? Turned it off, turned it on, tried everything, would never detect the hard drive. So, as always, take the case apart and start tearing inside. And these cases, while I love the profile of these cases, like, I love that little mini tower, but man, are they a bear to work on the inside. And I tell you what, I think blood sacrifice is actually required every time you open the case up. I don't know if anybody has ever used these IDE to CF adapters, but that's what I had decided to use in here. I want to be able to swap out the OS at VCF with, different things. I don't think these have any active components on them. I thought it was just like, straight traces all the way through, but I pulled this out first because it was in the chain. I thought I'd try it, and sure enough, put another one in, and it worked. I didn't think these could go bad, but, apparently this one did. So I booted then after that, and it worked. So it's back in booting again. And I figured while I was in there, let's see what I could do about COM2 not working. I thought maybe the UART was bad. Maybe the cable wasn't connecting right. It's on a Visa local bus IDE controller that has COM1, COM2, game port, parallel port on, like one of those all-in-one things. And COM2 and the game port were hanging off this little dongle. So I, took the cable off, put the cable back on, tried everything. Modem didn't work. It would do AT. It would get DTR. DTR and the modem would go high, but would not get TX-RX off the modem at all. So I dug through my box, and I found another one of these that I happen to have, and I stuck it in there, turned it back on, and boom, the modem works. So I put this under the magnifying glass, and I don't know if you can see it, but there on this one side is a little bit of a hole punched in a couple of wires. It must have gotten beat up in whatever box it is, and continuity is dead on a couple of the pins on here, on the wires. So put that in, and that fixed that. So, two more for the either repair or scrap pile. The other one is while I was in there, it turns out when I put this in, that little bottom part right there, I had stuck in a slot, and it was the slot that had the battery underneath it, the CR2032 for the BIOS, and I had bumped the battery out of the little holder, which explains why it wasn't saving any settings or persisting anything after I rebooted, after I turned it off and back on like the next day. So I just pushed the battery in, and guess what? That works too. So now I think all the problems I had with this are now fixed. So that allowed me to then get in here and get the modem working on COM2, the mouse on COM1. To do that, I installed UUGetty, which is part of the Getty PS package. The Getty that comes with doesn't really allow you to share the same modem on dial in and dial out. I'll show you real quick how that works, and I'll give a demo of it to show how it actually functions in the real world. So what did I do? I pulled down source for Getty PS. I am using version 2.0.7J, which is from around 1994. I did the Slack build there, actually, and I built the package, and then it built a gzip tar file on the root, which I then untarred onto the file system. And that gave me, let's type this, gave me UUGetty. So, number one, it gets you a Getty defs file, which I left pretty much alone with the sort of auto baud settings, 8N1, hardware flow control, RTS, CTS is turned on there. And then you add the Getty to init tab. Oops, don't edit this. Way down here. So S1, respawn, there's the new UUGetty. I commented out my old one. And this is on GTY S1, which is that modem port that I got working. Start at 38.4, it'll baud down, and a VT100 terminal type. At the end of that, you do, so you go to Etsy default. There's some examples of these. Clear screen, that'll clear the screen on connection. Hang up afterwards. I left debug on. And this one lets you pass in an init string. I gave it a custom issue file. And these are the parts that let you set it to monitor. So if you bring up a comms program, it'll detect the lock file for the modem and it'll stop listening inbound, and then you can dial out. And when you're done dialing out, it'll detect that and start back listening again. So that's how you can achieve the in and out. So you add that, then send yourself in a NIT queue. And at that point, let's go over here and let's look. I have the debug log running. So that's what it looks like when it starts up. So let's try and dial out right now. I have my Wildcat BBS sitting over there. Let's run Minicom, and I have Minicom set up to use that modem. So at this point, boom, Getty should be exiting. Okay. Let's dial out. I'm dialing that way to my Wildcat BBS. All right, and it works. And let's hang up. So when we hang up, let's watch what happens here. I'm sorry, I need to exit. Leave Minicom. Boom, Getty detected that Minicom exited and it reinitialized the modem for inbound dial-in. So now let's go over to the other machine and try and call into this Linux box, because it should now be listening for connections. On my DOS machine here with Telex, let's pull up the dial directory and let's dial over to that 486. UU Getty should be listening. Ka-ching. And there is that custom issue file that I have set up. And let's hang that up, and the Getty should respawn. Let's go over there and look. Yep, it has respawned and sent down the correct things. That's how it works. So recommend it. Getty PS, UU Getty, works great on this old version of Slack. And you can use your modem for both inbound and outbound work then. One other thing, now that I have the mouse working, got the Cirrus Logic set up under X, and we have X Windows working. Which means I can also do this now. And make this my default init state for the machine. Haha. X Display Manager. Open Windows. Well, X View. Of course, it had to get the Initech asset tag. Alright, there it is. Up and running. I think this machine is done. I cleaned up the keyboard. Got the mouse working. Modem works. I think that's it. I'm ready to call it ready for VCF. On to the next one. Laters.